Greetings programs, welcome back to the Game Grid. You're back with Gaming Magic Mark, and it's Baldur's Gate 3. And in this video, I wanted to break down in a quick and informative way, hopefully, a method that I've been using and I've discovered it's actually very, very useful for me. I hope it's going to be useful for you. In no way am I suggesting that you have to play this way. Please play Baldur's Gate 3 in the way that suits you. If you would rather role play, if you'd rather fight as little as possible, if you would rather the hard combat of tactician mode, that's awesome as well. All this method is, what I believe, is the quickest way of learning the first 4 or 5 levels of any particular class and the subclasses and intricacies of the class, especially where things like spells and abilities will affect certain situations. So my method is in early access to create a custom party, and if you do need help with that, I have another video where I show you how to create a custom party if we're still in the early access period. If you're after full launch and you're into the game properly, obviously there's methods of, say, respecking companions, respecking characters, or hiring mercenaries to fight alongside you. My method is to take 3 of your characters in the same class and start leveling them up, obviously at the same time. The 4th character in my party is one of the companions. So Shadowheart, Will, Lae'zel, Gale, etc. Okay, whether that's the same class as your other 3 characters, that's fine. What I like to have is that 4th slot be a companion, which means that I can swap them out as I need assistance in particular fights, combats, situations, role-playing situations, or whatever makes the most sense. The 3 characters that I then run with the same class give you the ability to choose subclasses that are different for each of them. And of course, after launch, most classes are going to have 3 subclasses, so it fits in nicely there. You can determine whether a subclass is going to work for you or whether there's something you don't like about it. And you can do the leveling up in unison. All of this is happening in parallel, and so for the first, say, 5 hours of the game, you've probably then got 3 of the same class characters getting to, say, level 4 or level 5. You've got a great understanding of how the different subclasses work, great idea of how the skills work. You've actually got a great idea of how the class works when the class is the main focus for how your party fights or challenges certain situations. What I mean by that is when you have a particular, maybe your character is, I don't know, a thief multi-classed with wizard, whatever. The other 3 characters that you are running with, they might be a paladin, barbarian, and a cleric or whatever. Sometimes they mask the potential of your main character, and they kind of, carry you through certain situations or through certain combats or whatever, without you even realizing it. So maybe you aren't using or learning your class to the fullest in as quickly a way as possible. But when you actually run with, say, 3 characters of the same class, then you're forced to tackle the situations as though mostly your party was that class. It makes sense, doesn't it? And that means that you're having to come up with new ways to, deal with combat encounters or other types of non-combat encounters with that particular class. So you're learning your class and its intricacies much, much faster. Giving you an example of this, I tackled the Paladin encounter, which I won't say more about, but you'll see some of the videos of the gameplay during this video, with the 3 rogues and a fighter. And then I tried it at another time with my 3 wizards, and the combat encounter was completely different, of course, as you'd expect, but that was magnified significantly by the fact that I was restricted to the rogue type of gameplay with the one party and the wizard type of gameplay with the other party. And what that meant was that I was able to really explore the possibilities of the wizards versus the rogues and see how I dealt with certain combats or other types of encounters. So I find that really valuable. It means that I can get going with a particular class and really discover that, okay, I understand now this class to a degree. I'm at level 5, so I've seen some of the major power increases at, say, level 3 and level 5. And I understand many of the cool features. I understand more will be coming, but at least I've got a great understanding up to, say, level 5. And you can do that in the first 5 hours of the game. So literally, you could do a playthrough of one type of class in a day, maybe even two types of classes in a single day, depending on how long you can play for in a day. But maybe in the first couple of days after release, you can have determined whether, maybe you've not decided whether, a paladin or an Eldritch Knight fighter is going to be the way forward for you. Well, this would be the way of doing it, and really with three characters of that particular class or subclass, you can really get to grips with how that all works and really decide which one is going to work best for you. And of course, after full release, it's much easier because then you can respec after you've decided. You can, push further on beyond level 5 and see how things are going. And then you can respec or you can hire other mercenaries and so forth. I like to keep the fourth slot in the party. I like to keep as one of the companions. It means that I can, then slot in someone else. And I can also test out different scenarios. Like, what if I am running with a cleric? Would the situation be different than if I was running with, say, a paladin and my class? And you can see how certain other classes interact with yours, or the one that you're testing in the best way possible. And so I think this is a great way of doing it. It works for me. I'm not saying that you have to do this. If you think it's a terrible idea, feel free to tell me about it. And I'm sorry if I've wasted your time, but I really think it works for me. I hope it works for you. Some of you out there might think, yeah, this is great. I'm going to try that out as well. And as always, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.